first I just want to thank everybody for coming this afternoon. Apologize that we couldn't get together last night. It's kind of the logistical component of the NBA because there were so many trades yesterday. And I also just want to make sure that I acknowledge and thank our staff in the front office for all the work that they've put in preparation for yesterday. Obviously, you never know if you're going to end up making a trade or having to make a decision, but nonetheless, you still have to put in an unbelievable amount of work just to get ready for that day. So I want to make sure that I thank those guys because they are I'm grateful to work with such good people. I think everyone knows that yesterday was exciting but also a difficult day for our team. Clearly, when you have guys that leave your organization to go on to other situations, it's never easy. And I want to make sure that I thank Naynard and Jeff Morris and DJ for their contributions to what we're trying to establish here in Oklahoma City. And those contributions, are won't be forgotten. And I think all of them are in good situations, which makes me feel better about the decisions that we had to make. At the same time, it was also an exciting day for us because we're able to bring players into the program that we feel good about. And I'll talk just a little bit about each person and kind of how we see that moving forward. Obviously, the opportunity to get Kendrick Perkins is rare and unique. He's a player that we feel personifies a lot of the qualities that we want to continue to build our team with and build our organization with. He is clearly a guy that we valued and brings a competitiveness and toughness, to the center position, and also a guy that has a incredible work ethic and understands winning and how to contribute to winning. And those are things that we really value about the opportunity to bring him here. Additionally, just talking through the acquisition of Nazi, he's another player. I crossed paths with him when he was in San Antonio, and my experience with him there was a very positive one because he's an incredible professional. He's really dedicated to his craft, and from a team standpoint, he's a guy again that understands winning and how he contributes to that. And I'm thrilled that we could bring him into our organization, and also his experience. And then obviously adding Nate, adding an athlete and competitor, someone that can bring that kind of energy to our roster and to our team. We see that as a tremendous positive as well. So, obviously change is never easy. And we understand that. In terms of going forward, our expectations for ourselves, our expectations for the team remain the same for us. We want to continue to try to improve the team. We want to continue to try to build on the identity that we're trying to create here. And we think that these players can help us do that. I talked with Scotty, yesterday and last night, and one of the things we understand is that anytime you make additions throughout the season, there's going to be an adjustment period. We understand that, and we respect that. That's part of it's part of the business. But at the same time, as I evaluated the situation, I felt like the opportunity to add the players that we had and bring a player like Perkins into the fold was an opportunity that we needed to take advantage of and understand that there would be an adjustment period. So moving forward, for us, we're looking at things the same way as we have the last several years. and we feel like this is an opportunity for us now, but also potentially in the future as well. So with that, I'd like to answer any questions anyone might have.
What type of assurances do you have that he'll pass a physical, and if he doesn't, what then?
Well, I think first and foremost, we have a great medical staff, and I trust them implicitly and have since I've been here. Up to this point, we've been able to access records that you normally get to access, and until I hear something different, they need to move through the physical process, and at that point, it's pretty standard. We'll have all the information, and we'll move forward from there.
Well, I'm sure you've done enough homework to feel comfortable with that. And what happens if he doesn't pass it, say like Tyson Chandler?
Well, we've done our homework, up to the point in which we can, but the homework's not complete until we finish the physical. And at that point, we'll make a decision. In terms of what if or what not, that's hypothetical, and that's not something I'll get into.
Today or tomorrow?
What's that?
Today or tomorrow, or when do you expect them to go
Well,
through?
we should have most of everything completed today for the guys. But as you could see last night, there's a whole other side of the business that is very logistical. So sometimes things get pushed back or backed up, and so I can't give you a definite answer, but it will all be done in due process.
Sam, is it your hope that once this process is done, hopefully today, that they'll be able to practice tomorrow, or at least the guys that are able to play will be able to be on the court Sunday against the Lakers?
Yeah, I mean, until trade can't become complete until everybody's reported and passed. So, when that happens, our guys will be on the court as soon as possible.
Would Perkins be healthy enough? I know he's only played 12 games, but would he be healthy enough, you think, in a perfect world to play?
Actually, right now, he experienced a setback the other night against Golden State. Again, our doctors haven't had a chance to evaluate him, but we don't see that as being something that would keep him from missing, too many games. But again, until we have all the information, we'll know. We'll know more today.
Did they come in from Denver, and how was their move?
Yeah, the guys, I think most of the thing that's important to recognize is, anytime someone gets traded, those are tough things. People are, these are human beings, and they have families, and that's understandable. But yeah, getting people in and out of the places where they are, again, that's more of the logistical side of things, can be a little bit crazy. But the guys are excited about the opportunity. I think they have a good feel for the team and for what we're trying to do, and we're going to have to just take some time to work through the newness of everything, and I know Scott will do a great job with that.
The reactions from Boston have been pretty emotional from the Reds teammates. Does that make you know that you touched a nerve? And is that the kind of emotional bond that you envision here with Kendrick and so forth?
Well, again, it's really hard for me to comment on their dynamics within their locker room or their organization. The only thing I could talk directly about is just the fact that when you have a team that's together for as much time as these guys are, for all 30 teams, there's going to be relationships there, and it's a difficult thing. But by the same token, we're all professionals. We understand that it's a business, and you have to move on. After you get past that initial stage of surprise.
Did you make this decision thinking that it was a solid one, even if you don't re-sign him, or are you thinking ahead, thinking or assuming that you will re-sign him, that this is long-term?
Well, I mean, I think the opportunity to add him to our group, especially given his makeup and the things that he's about, the chance to get him in our uniform, as I said before, is pretty unique given his age. But in terms of us looking forward, we'll have to have those conversations at the appropriate time. but clearly he's someone that we look at as a person and a player that can grow with our group.
Sam, can you talk a little bit more about what he's about? Because outsiders see Kendrick as a scowling, tough guy, basically.
Mhm.
Talk a little bit more about that and what you guys see in him.
Well, I think the thing that that we like is, basketball is incredibly important to him, and team is incredibly important to him. He's a no-frills competitor. He's a guy that takes his job seriously. He does incredible work. We know some people that, are around the Boston team, and one of the things they talk about in regards to Kendrick is, during his rehab process, he was in there at 6:30 in the morning, every morning on his own, just doing his work, getting himself together. And he's just got a real disciplined approach to his job. And I value that. When I look at our team, when I look at players, I really try to assess, how they fit with what we're trying to do. And I really believe that his makeup and, what he's about, those are the types of things I want to try to bring into our program.
Sam, can you talk about the guy that you had been with the longest, Jeff, and he's a guy that obviously fans became attached to, hearing what that conversation was like for you?
Well, it was one of the harder conversations I've had to have, in this job. But one thing I try not to do is talk specifically about, what those conversations entail. I can tell you from my point, from my end of it, I just don't feel comfortable talking about Jeff's. I have unbelievable respect for Jeff Green. I value him greatly.
How beneficial was your previous working relationship with the Celtics, do you think? Is there any way to gauge if that helped or mattered or anything?
I think it probably helps anytime you've done business before and it's worked out for both teams. I think when you look at this deal, I think it's a great deal for both teams. I think that, Jeff and Nanot are going to really help that team. I think they're also going to flourish there for sure. And I'm hopeful that Nate and Kendrick can do the same for us. But, I have unbelievable respect for Danny Ainge and the Celtics and what they stand for. And anytime you're working on trades, you're trying to make it so that each team walks away wanting to work with the other team again.
Sam, the obvious question about Nate is, why would you bring him in with Maynard seemingly performing very well as a backup, and Nate is, I guess, really only a 33% three-point shooter?
Well, I think with Nate, coming to our team, I don't think that's necessarily a reflection on Eric. We're very pleased with Eric. I think that, my job is to continue to try to strengthen the roster any way I can. And when you make trades, it's not necessarily an indictment on other players. It's more about trying to help the other players, trying to help the team as a whole. And we're hopeful that he'll be able to help us.
I know you use advanced stats when you evaluate things. I know a lot of the lineups with Jeff Green, the 3 and the 4, were all negative in terms of plus-minus metrics. Is that something that you considered when you looked at this trade? Do you consider that sort of thing with your plus-minus?
Well, we look at everything when we try to make a decision, not just one area or one focus. And I think everyone that watches our team or has watched Jeff over the course of his career, even in college, knows that a lot of the things that he brings to your team or your organization aren't necessarily represented in numbers alone. And that's one of the reasons why, when we initially drafted him, we felt so good about bringing him in. As I said earlier, I have unbelievable respect for him as a player and a person. He's a selfless person, and he's incredibly talented. And we're thankful for what he's contributed to this organization. By the same token, I have to make really tough decisions in this job, and that's part of my responsibility that I carry every day for this organization. And I also feel, for Mr. Bennett. So as tough as a decision it was, as it was, I felt like it was something that we had to do based on the information we had and the opportunity to bring in a player like Perkins that we feel like could address a need and fit with our timeline moving forward.
I know that you talk a lot about also about, when you drafted these guys, growing together, developing together, growing up, even getting girlfriends and wives together almost. And was there any concern about, trading away one of these brothers, as they like to call them, that you're going to upset the chemistry of the team?
Well, I mean, I think any time that you make a change or someone new comes in or someone leaves, you're going to change the dynamic a little bit. But I also have a lot of faith in our group as a whole. I think that's one of our strengths. The group as a whole is strong in that area, and I'd expect them to really do a good job accepting the new group, the new guys, helping them understand, what we're about, what we're trying to establish, how we're trying to work, and helping them get acclimated. But certainly, it's never easy making changes like that. But as I said before, it's part of my job to evaluate what I feel is the best thing for the direction of the franchise. And in this case, I felt like this was a deal that we needed to look at strongly.
Yesterday, Nate said that Kendrick was pretty emotional in the Denver hotel when he got the news. But how beneficial could it be that there are two of them coming, and they were teammates before, and they'll remain that way?
Well, I think obviously, when you go somewhere, as partners, so to speak. I think there's definitely some ease in that. But again, you've got professionals. This is what they do for a living, and we try to do everything we can to help them assimilate when they get into town. And one thing I think is definitely a help is just our community and just the city that we live in. I think they'll welcome our new players. They always have in the past, and I know it means a lot to our team. It means a lot to our team.
Sam, while you got Kendrick in large part because he was fit, he's also different than anybody else you've currently got on the roster. Can you talk about sort of what he brings that is different and maybe some of that? Is it that toughness a little bit too that he brings?
Well, I think he brings a lot of different things. I think certainly, he brings a toughness. He also brings, a level of experience. And I don't think it can be discounted that even that at his age, he's got a lot of NBA experience, having come into the NBA as early as he did. So I think that, and as I talked about earlier, just his seriousness about his profession, I think, is something that I really like. The fact that he understands his game and what he has to do in order to be effective and help your team win ball games. There's no agenda with him, and I like that about him. I like that in that particular position, and I'm hopeful that we can bring him here and help him improve also, because he's still a young player in this league, and that's one of the reasons we felt like adding him to the group that we have was so advantageous for us, and is something we really had to look at.
From an X's and O's standpoint, how difficult is it to implement what Charlotte and Boston did that these guys know into both your offensive and particularly your defensive scheme?
Well, from an X's and O's standpoint, obviously that's Scotty's area. Philosophically, I can tell you something that we've talked about is that we understand that there's going to be an adjustment period, not only for the new players but also for our current players. And we have got a young group of guys that are learning roles, and now their roles will be affected a little bit by the change, which is understandable. But I really credit our focus on development and the coaching staff's focus on development, in the sense that we feel like Serge is prepared to not meet every challenge, but certainly have the opportunity to take the challenge on as he increases his role a little bit with this move. As we've seen with young players through our process here in the last 3 years, there's peaks and valleys. And a lot of times the peaks come from the struggles. And I'm sure we'll see some rough patches, but that's also been a big part of our progress as we go through this. So I don't think it can be underestimated that, we're still a growing team. If you really look at our starting lineup, it's gotten younger. Serge is younger than Jeff Green, and Kendrick is younger than Naynod. I think that it'll take some time, and guys will be finding their way a little bit. But I have confidence in our players, and I really have a lot of confidence in our focus and development that they'll prepare our guys for the challenges and also work them through the adversities that no doubt will be there as we move forward.
Sam, sending 4 guys out and bringing 3 back, you've got a roster spot now. Are you comfortable at 14, or are you looking at maybe bringing in, calling up somebody, or bringing in a guy that's been bought out somewhere else?
Well, I mean, I can't tell you right now specifically. I mean, we're not planning on doing anything today or tomorrow, but we'll sit down and talk about it. I'll spend some time with Scott. I know his focus right now is on merging the group, together and figuring, things out on his end. But we'll take a look at it. We're not opposed to bringing somebody in if we feel like they're a fit with the organization, and we'll be open-minded in that regard.
Sam, you mentioned Serge earlier. How much is what you did yesterday a reflection on where you guys think he is, and James and some of these maybe younger guys that have been more reserve guys?
Well, the term younger guys has to be used loosely with our team. I think that, exactly. Exactly. No, I think, I don't think necessarily Serge is a driving factor. I think the fact that we have some depth allowed us to look at this more closely. We understand that, having Serge there is a benefit for us. But Serge and Jeff are different players, and Serge is going to have to fill that role how he does. And we're going to have to, the rest of the team as a whole is going to have to continue to support him because he will be, asked to do a little bit more.
Obviously, time will tell if this was wise and not so wise, but your approval rating locally is like 82%. According to the news, okay, that means. But, so, I mean, how comforting is that? And because you talk about how the community is embracing this team and everything, just to get that kind of approval rating.
I mean, it's certainly, I don't want to disrespect it, and it's very nice, but it probably may change tomorrow. You don't know. When it comes to stuff like that, John, all I can do is make the best decisions at the time with the information I have. And, anytime you make decisions in this business, there's risks involved. Doesn't matter what it is. You just try to shift the odds in your favor. And, some of our decisions will work and some of them won't. Some of them will look better in time. Some of them, there's just so many variables in this business. And my job is to take the information I have, and filter it through what I see as our long-term objectives for this organization and for our franchise, and make the best decisions, for not just now, but also looking forward.
When you look at the qualities of the players, some of the qualities of these players that you're bringing in, and the qualities that you have in the current and the players that were here before, where do you feel this team has gotten stronger as a whole?
Well, I think we've got more physical. I think that, we, as a whole now, I mean, we're a little bit bigger than we were previously, but we also maintain versatility on the roster, and that's one of the things that I think we value with our rosters, having guys that can play some different positions. So having that versatility is, one of the reasons why we can look at a deal like this, moving forward.
Where is that versatility? Because you lost a lot of versatility with Jeff. That's really sort of his strength. He can do all kinds of things.
Right.
Where do you see versatility now?
Well, I think Kevin allows us to look at a lot of different combinations. I think Russell obviously plays on and off the ball. James and Tabo can play both positions on the wing. Those are guys that can shift around a little bit, play different positions. If I were to sit here and tell you that I thought we were a perfect puzzle or that we were completed, I don't think I'd be being very genuine. As I said earlier, we know we've got areas we need to improve on. We know that there's things we need to address. But we can't do that all at one time, And the focus yesterday was the opportunity to add some pieces, and obviously the opportunity to add Kendrick, who we see as being an important piece to us now and also potentially in the future. But we have work to do, and we understand that there's no silver bullet. We're going to have to continue to shape and work, and that goes to our roster, but also to our team, and continuing to focus on our quality of play and improve on the floor there. And we'll look to continue to try to improve off the floor as well.
You've gotten a little more orthodox. Before yesterday, you had a unique team. Best rebounder is a 6'10" small forward. Power forward is really a small forward. Your center likes to shoot 18-foot jump shots.
Mm-hmm.
Your shooting guard doesn't shoot, all kinds of screwy things. You got a lot more, but you're a lot more mainstream type of NBA team, it seems to me now.
Mm-hmm.
Is that just the way it goes, and is that by design, or?
I think that's a good question. I don't think that I don't think we go into it saying we want to change the model of the car, or we want to change this, or we want to change that. I think there's certain areas that, as I said before, you want to try to address if you can, but you're never going to end up with a perfectly balanced group. That's why you have to rely on the guys that you have to adapt, to learn, to grow. And I really would continue to come back to the fact that development becomes a huge component for us because we have so many young players. We expect them to continue to get better. We expect to continue to learn about them. I don't look at a lot of our guys as finished products by any means. And as that process takes its course, I think you'll see our team continue to evolve. And that's one of the challenges that we have is, as we're continuing to focus on today and improve and compete as hard as we can, we also have to balance the future and understand that there's going to be growth of players, and we need to continue to create an environment where they do improve so that when a player does move on, we have the ability to call on somebody to carry maybe not the whole role but a different part of it. That's part of the business.
The focus has been on Kendrick, but in reality he's only played 12 games and is not apparently ready to go now. Muhammad has averaged 17 minutes or so a game, so he's a pretty big component of this, I would assume. Can you talk a little bit more about him and his role?
Yeah, I'd like to. Nazi is a guy that, as I said earlier, his focus is on the blocking and the tackling. And one of the things that I've always appreciated about Nazi is how serious he takes his profession. And I was thinking about it yesterday. There's one story that came to mind when I was thinking about him. I remember, I can't remember what year it was, but we were in Detroit on, I think it was a Christmas Day game. And I'm positive it was Christmas. It was Christmas Day. It was in Detroit. And we got in early in the afternoon for the game. And I went down to the fitness center. And this is Christmas Day, mind you. We had a game the next day. And I get into the fitness center, and Nazi had already beat me there, and he was lathered up pretty good. And, we didn't do anything that day, but he knew that it was important for him to be ready to go the next day. And that really stuck with me. And there's a lot of other instances about his professionalism and his accountability for his profession that I respect. And in addition to what he does on the floor, which is just being really solid and knowing what it is that he does well, and I think he has the opportunity to help us.
Sam, a lot of times these moves are made, and fans look at the immediate impact, and you look at everything and how it'll affect you long term. Plus, what's going on now, better with the Spurs, or is this a whole this year, next year?
Yeah, I mean, I understand. I mean, that's what makes pro sports great. You know, they're enjoyed on a day-to-day basis, and I'm thankful that we've got such great fans. I have to look at it more broadly. I have to look at it so that we can be in position to bring that level of excitement to our fans and to our community for on more than a day-to-day basis. And sometimes that means there's tough decisions that have to be made. I accept that, and that's actually part of the job that I enjoy, and I enjoy that responsibility. But as we've said before, our focus is really on building a sustainable team. Our focus is on continuing to build a team that we feel like can grow together. And through that process, that doesn't necessarily mean that there will never be a change or a player may not be here. But the focus is on the organization. And players are part of the organization. But the focus is on the organization and what's important to the organization moving forward. And I feel like this opportunity is something that not only helps us now, but also potentially helps us in the future, as we look down the line.